Hello everyone. Today I'm talking about some yoga for arthritis. So I know several people in our lives suffer with some stickiness in our joints, and so today we're going to try to release some of that stickiness, trying to generate some heat in our joints and to create some of that relaxation through the joints as we get that synovial fluid roaming around and a little bit of lubrication in the joints. Sometimes our joints just get stiff from repetitive movement in a certain position. Like my mom, her fingers get tired from when she spends a lot of time sewing and your hands are in a stuck position for a period of time, or any repetitive movement that your joints are in a stuck place. So some options for some props that might feel available for you to help in our movements today are a blanket, one or two, might have comfort for our knees, our hips, maybe a block. I have a foam roller if you have pillows or a bolster. Any of those options will be helpful. Now we're beginning in an all-fours position. So as you bring your body into a space that's comfortable for your knees. So again, maybe we're using the blanket to protect our knees to give us a little extra support. You can also use a blanket under your hands so that as you feel that support in your wrist, or we can even do fist for wrist, sending our thumbs forward to feel that engagement in our wrist and our shoulders. So as we find stability and security in this all-fours position, we're going to begin to move our spine. So as we inhale, helping our ribs to push forward, and as we exhale, helping our ribs to reach up to the sky. Now as we feel our spine flowing, we feel that openness as we inhale, we feel that release through our exhale, finding stretch and relaxation through the spine as we breathe. Now we can continue just activating the movement through our spine. We can think about moving through the head down to the tailbone. So maybe we're pulling the chin forward, the throat forward, the ribs forward as that tailbone pushes up to the sky. And then maybe we pull the tailbone in, the lower back up, the lower belly in, the collarbone in, and relax the chin and the head. So you can continue any range of motion, any pace of movement. As we feel this flowing movement through our spine, we're feeling that release through the spinal column, the vertebrae, feeling relaxation and rest. Now we're welcome to continue flowing the spine up and down. As we find a neutral spine, lengthening the tailbone away from the top of the head, maybe we think about our rib folding in and our shoulders and our hips drawing towards each other on one side, and then the ribs drawing in, hips and shoulders reaching towards each other on the other side, and we can continue this flowing movement side to side as long as that feels like a good option for our bodies today. And every day may be different. Some days one movement in our spine feels better than other movements in our spine. So whenever we feel like we've moved our spine well, maybe it's helpful to draw the knees out to the side and send our tailbone towards our heels. If this movement in our knees isn't available, if we have a blanket under the knees, we can also have a blanket in between the thigh and the calf so that that flexion in our knees is less intense and we have a little bit more peace to rest our ribs towards the inside of the legs and to relax the shoulders, the ribs, the lower back. And maybe once you're on the floor, you have a sweet little puppy dog like I do that brings you a toy to play with. So if you have to play doggy toy yoga, you're welcome to this adventure in life. All right, let's help our arms and ribs move over towards one leg, just as far as you feel a good stretch in your rib cage. Maybe we draw back to neutral and then send our arms and ribs over towards the other side, feeling stretch here as we breathe. We'll help our body come back to neutral and pick up the ribs, stacking the knees back under the hips, maybe on a blanket or any other extra support for our wrist or our knees. We're going going to lengthen out one leg, whichever leg may feel like the best to start with. And with that long length in our leg, feel your heel lengthen away from the back of the head. Enjoying stillness here, feel your heel pulling forward and your heel pressing back. So we find that flexion and release through our ankle, relaxing through our lower leg. You might feel a stretch all the way up and towards the hip. Feeling just a little bit of movement here, or maybe even adding a bend in the knee towards the ground, and then the thigh presses the leg back towards straight to feel a little bit more stretch through our lower legs, our calf and our thigh and our hip. Then we're going to relax that side down. Let's stretch out the other leg, maybe pressing through the heel back and forth, feeling that flexion in our ankle. And again, continuing with the straight leg or adding that bend in the knee so that you get a little release through our calf, through our knee, through our thigh, through our hip, and breathe. Now as we feel a little release in our knees, we're helping one foot come forward. So if it feels like we're adding a lot of pressure in that back knee, option to pick up the back heel and plant it to the ground. So we're finding this warrior one stance, helping our body walk up the front leg, guiding our hips and our heart towards the front of the mat so that our knees, toes, everything are reaching in the same direction. So with the back knee up or down, we're going to begin to move this front leg. So our front leg lengthens towards straight, our front knee bends. So if you're in this lengthened back leg position like I am, it's just a little gentle movement. If you have the back knee down, you might even find a deeper movement. And this is where the block might come in handy, as our hands may need to find support to help us as we find a little bit of a deeper movement. So wherever you're feeling the most stable, with that lengthened back leg or the back knee bent, anywhere your body feels its best stretch today. Now as we feel length in our front leg, think about the inner thighs reaching in. You feel the pelvis pulling in towards the midline of the body, and you find the activation through your hip and your inner abdominal muscles to keep the spine stable. And with that tall spine, we're going to find some movement. So try not to lock out the front knee, maybe keeping that soft bend, or if it feels better, maybe even a deeper bend. We're going to move from our hip. So think about your pelvic bowl, hip lifting up towards the sky as we inhale, and then exhaling the hip and pelvic bowl towards the front leg. So we're inhale, lifting, exhale, reaching. So this is how it looks if you're in this tall position like I am. If you're in that bent knee position, you can have toe up or down, whichever feels the most stable, but we're still moving up and down. And we may not find as much range of motion from the torso here as we do from this lifted back leg. So you can choose which movement pattern allows your body the best release today. Now as we're ready, let's trade legs. So the back foot finds the front foot reaches back. So again, the back knee can be up or down, whichever your body enjoys the best today. And then we're going to begin to move the front knee. So we're lengthening the front knee and leg towards straight. We're finding a deep bend in the front knee. Being mindful that we're not pushing our knee over our toes. We're just allowing the knee to relax over our heel as we find that little flowing movement up and down, a little back and forth. And we remind ourselves that we're not locking out the front knee. We're just giving this movement a little gentle release as you feel the front of the back thigh get a little extra stretch as the front knee bends and releases. Now as we find that length in the front leg again, we're not locking out our knee, but keeping a soft bend in the knee, or maybe even a deeper bend in the knee if that works the best on our body today. Let's inhale and lift that pelvis up, and exhale the pelvis forward. So we're feeling reach, we're feeling release, feeling that stretch through our hips, that reach through our spine, creating relaxation sensation as we relax and rest into our breath. We're just allowing any movements in our body that feel the best today, reminding ourselves that if we're finding any sharp pains, that's our body's signal to say, hey, this isn't a good option for us today. But if we can exhale and breathe out any extra sensations, it's our body's way of saying, hey, I think this is going to work. We're going to be okay. Now we're going to help this back foot find the front foot and then just relax out our joints. So maybe you're giving your joints some circles. Maybe we're shaking them out. We're doing a little bit of both, choosing where you're feeling a good stretch. Now as we ground our heels, thinking about the arches lifting, the thighs engaging, the knees, joints softening. Now we're going to add some balance because we need the balance of the body to give our joints a little bit more stronger support and to keep us stabilized when we find ourselves on uneven surfaces. So as one foot feels the ground, the thigh engages, the knee joint softens, we feel the lower belly kicking in so that we can begin to bend the other knee or even float the other toe off the ground. Our palms can push together, reminding our abdominals to engage to help our bodies find stability. Or maybe our arms find reach out to the side like a tightrope walker, helping us to feel a little bit more balanced and even in this one-legged stance. Anywhere we're feeling the most stable today. Continuing to relax into our breath. Now, wherever our arms are helping us to feel more stable, we're going to have some movements with this bent knee. So if it feels available, maybe tapping the toe forward and then reaching and tapping the toe back. So feel the grounding in that standing leg still as we just find a little fluid movement in that lifted leg, back and forth. And choosing your body's range of motion, your body's pace of movement. If you're feeling pretty strong here, maybe even reaching out and sliding back without even tapping the ground. It does add a bit of extra challenge, so choose how we're feeling today. As we're relaxing that side, let's relax out our joints. Staying in any position for a longer period of time reminds us that our joints get a little stiff, so we have to find a little bit of movement to release them out. Let's trade out the legs, reminding our knee to soften, our inner thighs to engage, our lower belly to engage. Our palms can ground us at the heart, our arms can draw out towards the side, relaxing here as we breathe. As we're finding stability in that standing leg, maybe we're floating the toe off the ground, allowing a deep bend in the knee, wherever our body feels the most stable. It doesn't take much to feel those stabilizing muscles kick in. The muscles supporting our feet, the muscles supporting our ankle, supporting our calf, our thigh, our hips, the abdominal muscles kicking in as we find that stability through the center of the body, keeping us stable. Now again, maybe we add those tapping movements, toes forward, toes back, feeling the grounding, continue through the standing leg. And if we're feeling pretty supported, maybe pressing through the heel and forward and back without tapping the ground, just checking in to see what our body allows today. It does add a little bit more strenuous action through our muscles. As we're ready for stillness, let's shake it out. Relax the joints, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulders, the knees, the ankles, and breathe. Now from here, we're going to help ourselves into a seated posture. So if you want to widen out the feet, sink the tailbone back far enough so that you can tap the ground, you might be able to release the knees towards the floor and help our tailbone relax so we can lengthen out the legs ahead of us. Sideways so that we can find a little bit more of a different angle for you to see better. And again, if you want a little support for your tailbone, you can take the blanket that we possibly used earlier under our knees and let our hips relax on it. For several reasons, this helps to elevate your pelvis. It also helps us to sit a little bit taller as we find that length from our tailbone through our ribs through the top of the head. Now we're gonna move our feet. So we're gonna feel one toe reach forward, the other toe reach back. So we find just a little bit of flexion through our feet. Now we can stay with this movement. We can start making a V with our toes, out and in. So big toes reaching out, big toes reaching in, finding that V position wherever you're feeling pretty stable here. And then maybe we even add some circles through our ankles and trade the direction. We'll start to bend one knee in towards the chest and then the other knee in towards the chest, and feel just a little bit of movement through our legs as we stretch into our breath. And you're finding a little release, a little heat building in our joints, allowing a little bit more stretch and relaxation as we breathe. Now we're allowing one knee to bend, maybe a little deeper. Maybe as much of it bends as just softly, but maybe it bends enough so that we can even hug the shin or thigh towards the chest. We're adding just a little bit of movement in the spine. So with our ribs growing tall in the inhale, we're exhaling ribs towards our bent knee. Inhaling ribs forward, exhaling ribs to the side. Feeling just a little bit of release through our spine as we relax into our breath. Now we're welcome to continue this relaxing movement in this direction, or as we're ready, trading legs, bending the knee where we feel comfort, holding onto the shin or the thighs, feeling length on the inhale, feeling that release of the ribs, drawing towards the knee as we exhale. Being mindful that we're trying to move from a tall spine, really trying not to round the rib cage and fold it. That usually isn't a very helpful option for our spine. Now, as we feel a little relaxation here, we can remove our hips from underneath, from being on the blanket. We might find comfort with the blanket as we're relaxing on our spine. And this is the point where we might want to use our bolster or our block. And we can also have them by our sides as well. We're helping our body relax the spine to the ground. So we're going to hold on to just one thigh, ground through the other foot. Feel your ribs grow tall, and we're going to start to release all the way down onto our spine. Feeling relaxation as our shoulders relax, as our ribs release, our tailbone relaxes with the knee into the chest. We're hanging out here as long as this feels like a good stretch. Maybe this lengthened leg presses further towards the foot of the mat and you feel the thighs actively stretching away from each other. Anytime we're ready to trade sides, we'll bend the other knee, holding on at the thigh, feeling the other heel pressing out towards straight into the foot of the mat, noticing those thighs reaching away from each other. So we're allowing both knees to bend. We're going to have a few options. One option is to use the block inside the thigh. The other option is to use the block underneath the tailbone. Or we can use the blanket under the tailbone or in between the knees. Or you can use the bolster or foam roller underneath the tailbone and the block or the blanket in between the knees. Wherever we're feeling pretty stable, we're going to think about these inner thighs squeezing into the blanket, block, whatever we might have there. If it's not comfortable to have this much engagement inside our thighs, that's always an option to release it out. We're helping these shoulders feel stability. So maybe thinking about your shoulder blades drawing in towards the spine. So you feel the grounding through your forearms, your shoulders, and your feet. Now as we feel stable, we're going to have the option to lift the pelvis up to the sky, floating off that support that we have underneath us, and then relaxing back on it. So it's just a small little pelvic tilt, trying to push those hip flexors up to the sky and then to relax them out. So these muscles, these hip flexors that are guiding and stabilizing from the top torso to the bottom legs, from your femur to the bottom of that thoracic spine, you're feeling these muscles begin to stretch and lengthen. If we find ourselves in a seated posture, these muscles tend to get really tight because we're not stretching them out. They're just in that folded position all the time. And so we have to spend a lot of time relaxing them out so that we take pressure off of our spine, off of our hips, and it relaxes out a little bit of extra sensations as we release the nervous system through these movements. Then we're going to help our heels push into the ground so we can remove whatever prop we have underneath our tailbone. And as our tailbone feels the ground, we can remove any prop that we had in between the legs. As we feel a little space around us, so being mindful that we have our arms to the side. If you find that you find a lot of stress and tension in your head and neck, because maybe we found a little bit more rounding, kyphosis in the upper neck and the top of our thoracic spine, it might feel more comfortable to have a little rolled up blanket or support to place underneath the neck so that we're not straining any muscles that might create headaches or tension in our spine. So from here, let our feet go wide. Our spine is finding comfort and length through the ground. So maybe we move our knees a bit side to side. Finding a little windshield wipering action through the knees, thighs and hips relaxing towards one side, thighs and hips relaxing towards the other side. And we're feeling that release through our legs, through our tailbone, through our ribs as we rest into our breath. Now as we feel like we've relaxed out our feet, we've relaxed through our knees, we've relaxed through our hips, through our spine, and to the shoulders, let's help our body rest over onto our side for a moment and find a little peace as we relax on our side. Take a deep breath, and then we're helping ourselves up into a comfortable seated position. And we're going to be in our seated position for a moment, so it might feel more stable to have a little bit more elevated surface by sitting on the block or the foam roller, or the bolster will be a little bit softer. You can even add the blanket on top of the block if you want a little bit more softness and comfort. And we're going to find a comfortable position for your legs. You may think, oh, the way she's sitting, I can never do that. So let your legs be straight, or it might feel more comfortable to just have a bend in the knee, especially if you have an elevated surface. So wherever your legs feel comfortable, let your tailbone feel the ground. Hands can rest wherever you're feeling stable, but we're elevating the spine, lengthening through the top of the head to the tailbone. With our spine tall, let's guide our chin towards the shoulder, gazing behind us. Guide our chin towards the other shoulder, gazing behind us. So we find neutral, ear relaxes towards the shoulder, side of the neck opens, ear relaxes towards the other shoulder, side of the neck opens. Feel a little bit of movement as our shoulder blades stretch up and down. Now depending upon where our legs are, we're going to reach forward. So hands can be on the legs, hands can be on the ground. We're feeling just a little release in the spine as our chin rests into our chest. And as we inhale, let's pick up our chin to the sky, really lifting through the throat to open the lungs. And then find neutral. Now wherever our legs are comfortable for a few deep breaths, let's rest one hand on our belly, one hand on our heart, and we're going to find a little long breath. This breath helps to draw fresh oxygenated air through our body, to help our joints, to help our muscles, to support us as we move about every day. So as we inhale, feel the belly expand like a balloon. With our exhale, the belly releases back into the lower back. And you can keep the movement at the belly, or inhaling through the belly, the ribs to the upper palm, exhaling from the shoulders all the way down to the lower back. Feeling a little bit of expansion with our inhale, a little relaxation with our exhale. Again, finding freedom and release in our legs, wherever that feels comfortable for our bodies today. As we relax by our side, let's find a few relaxing breaths together. Again, knowing that we can stay in any posture for as long as you like. You can always pause or fast forward or rewind at any time. That's the beauty of videos. And please feel free to contact me or comment on this video if at any time that you have any questions or anything that I can send more postures for you to help to relax out your body wherever you might be feeling extra sensations today. Let's find a deep breath together with our inhale, pulling the palms up to the sky. We're exhaling, thumbs down to the heart. Namaste, friends. Have a beautiful day. I appreciate all of you. I'll say you could come say hi to Bella Mae, but she decided not to say hi to you. Have a great day.